guys to my new video. In this video I wanna teach you all about object-oriented programming in C++. So first of all, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and let's start our video. Object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is an approach or a programming pattern where the programs are structured around objects rather than functions and logic. It makes the data partitioned into two memory areas, its mean data and functions, and helps make the code flexible and modular. Object-oriented programming mainly focused on objects that are required to be manipulated. In object-oriented programming, it can represent data as objects that have attributes and functions. Object-oriented programming model that organizes software design around data or objects. It represents all data of the object. Like this example, we have a car. The car have the methods and attributes. The method, we have three functions. First, get fuel. For function, get fuel, set speed, get speed, and drive. Attributes have the fuel and max speed. Now, what is a class? Class can be defined as a blueprint of the object. It is basically a collection of objects which acts as building block. This is a logical method to organize data and functions in the same structure. Like here we have a car class that name car class, and this class we have three objects, car object. The first car is green. It represents the data of the car. It's green, Ford, Mustang, and gasoline. The second car is red. It's Toyota car, Prius, and it's an electric car. Third car is a blue car. It's a Volkswagen. It's a Golf, and it's a diesel car. This is an example about the class in object-oriented programming. We have a class car and we have three car objects. Now, how to create a class. To create a class, we need to use the class keyword. Like here, I use the class. This is the keyword of declaration of a class. A class contains data members, like a variable, and member functions. These member functions are used to manipulate the data members inside the class. This is the declaration of a class. It starts with keyword and the class name. I open the braces, I put the body of code, and in the end of the program I put a semicolon here. Look at this example. I need to calculate the area of a rectangle. The class here has the class name is rectangle. The permission label is private here and public. In a private, I need to declare the width and the length. And in public, I need to use the set function. I need to define W and L, width and length, and I need to calculate the area. The private part is the data member variables, and here the block in the public part is the member functions. Permission labels. Public members can accessible from outside the class. Private member cannot be accessed or viewed from outside the class. Protected members cannot be accessed from outside the class. However, they can be accessed in inherited class. We need to show the inheritance in object-oriented programming in next video. Note, if we declare members of a class before including any permission label, the members are considered private, since it is default permission that the member of a class declared with the class keyword acquire. Look at this example. We have here public integer x and private integer y. The public is access specifier and then private access specifier also, but in public the member are accessible, in private the member it's not accessible. An object is an instance of a class. When a class is defined, no memory is allocated, but when the object is created, the memory is allocated. Data can be accessed by its functions. Look at this example. In this example, I need the name and the ID of the persons. First, I need to define the class person, and I need to define the array name. It's a character, and the ID. It's an integer, and public void function void get details. In the main function, I need to put the person p1. Here, person p1 is an object. Accessing a class, accessing public data member. Following is an example to show you how to initialize and use the public data members using the dot operator and the respective object of class. Look at this example. Here I defined student A, student B. To initialize the data member, I need to use dot. Look here, setting value of A object, A dot roll number equal 1, A dot name equal Adam. And here for the value B dot roll number equal 2, B dot name equal Bella. This is how to access the public data member using the dot operator. Now accessing private data member. To access the private data member, we need to use and initialize the private data member. You need to create getter and setter functions to get and set the value of the data member. The setter function will set the value passed as argument to the private data member, and the getter function will return the value of the private data member to be used. Both getter and setter function must be defined in public. Look here, getter and setter, public get roll number is the getter, and we need to return to the roll number, and void set roll number equal I. This is how to use the get and set in object-oriented programming is used to access the private data member. And finally, to access, I use a.setRoll, a.getRoll. Now, accessing protected data member. Protected data members can be accessed directly using the dot also inside the subclass of the current class. For non-subclass, we will have to follow the steps same as to access private data member. Like this example, class rectangle, private, integer y, integer length, and void set, integer w, integer l, and integer area. And the main function, rectangle 1, rectangle 2, rectangle 1 dot set y and length, and the rectangle 2 dot set 8 and 10. This is how to access the protect data member using dot also, and we give the value of the w and l. to calculate the area of the rectangle. Scope operator. Why we use the scope operator in object-oriented programming? We use the scope operator because to access a global variable when there is a local variable with the same name. Like here in this example, we have a global variable x named x. X have two variables. And to make the difference between the first x and the second x, we use the scope operator. 2. We use the scope operator to define a function outside a class, like here class A, and I need to define a function outside the class A, like here void a scope operator function. 3. We use the scope operator to refer to a class inside another class. If a class exists inside other class, we can use the nesting class to refer the nested class using the scope resolution operator. Like here, we have class outside, and I need to define the outside scope operator inside scope operator y equal 5. I refer to this class inside another class. Now the constructors. Constructor is a special member function which enables an object to initialize itself when it is created. Constructors have the same name as the class and may be defined inside or outside the class definition. Important characteristics of constructor are: it should be defined in public section only. It has the same name as the name of the class. It is invoked automatically when an object of its associated class is created. And finally, constructor does not return any value. Now the declaration. To declare the function constructor function, we need to use this syntax. First of all, we need to put the class name, public, also the class name. This is the constructor, have the same name of the class, and the parameter list and the body. Look at this example. Class my class, public, the constructor has the name my class, cout hello world. Integer main my class my object. Here I need to call the constructor that has the name my class to print hello world on the screen. Constructor, the default constructor is the constructor which doesn't take any argument. It has no parameter. It is also called zero argument constructor. If we do not define any constructor explicitly, the compiler will automatically provide a default constructor implicitly. Like here, this example, class constructor, public, I defined a and b, two variables, and constructor, the default constructor, a take the value 10 and b take the value 20. And integer made default constructor called automatically here, constructor C, to call this constructor, and cout A and B. Now the parameterized constructor, it is possible to pass arguments to constructors. Typically, these arguments help initialize an object when it is created. To create a parameterized constructor, simply add parameters to it the way you would to any other function. When you define a constructor's body, use the parameters to initialize the object. Now the destructors. Destructor is a special function just opposite to constructor. Other constructors that are used for initializing an object. Destructors destroy or delete the object. Now let's see the important characteristics of the destructor in object-oriented programming. First of all, a destructor function also has the same name as the same class as the class, but preceded by a tilde. When an object is out of scope, the destructor function it is called automatically. The destructor has no argument and is not return any value. And finally, there cannot be more than one destructor in a class. Now the syntax of destructor, how to initialize a constructor. Let's see, first of all, the class name, public, class name and parameter list and the body. Here this is the constructor function, and type, class name, parameter list, function body also. This is the destructor function. This is how to declare or the syntax of the destructors. The destructor and the constructor have the same name of the class. Let's see this example. Class hello world, public. Here first we have the constructor hello world. Constructor is called, and the destructor also tilde hello world. And finally I need to use the main function to call the constructor and the destructor to display the hello world on the screen. This is all about constructors and destructors in object-oriented programming in C++ programming language. For today, don't forget to like my video, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Instagram. And to get the PDF course, join my Telegram channel. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you later.